topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Who is January Jones? She is not a young, beautiful, talented actress on Mad Men. She is not an older, gorgeous, exotic dancer from the Johnny Carson show. She is an author, and she wrote Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, that reached #1 at Amazon.com. She is a reality TV golf personality with World High Stakes Golf televised on HDNet. She is a humorist and winologist expert. She is your featured host today on January Jones Sharing Success Stories. So sit back, relax, and get ready to laugh and listen to Ms. Jones with her eclectic roster of guests as you learn life's lessons. These stories plus sharing equals success. Welcome, and remember, beware, because you are entering the no whining world of January Jones.
Hello and welcome. I'm January Jones, and it's so nice to have you with us today. Now for my listeners, let me ask you a question. How is your marriage doing during this pandemic? Yeah, it's been a stressful time for every marriage. Now, would you like to learn how to deal with the pandemic and the stress it creates for everyone, whether you're married or not? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be married 22 years? Or for that fact, 52 years, speaking for myself. Do you wish you could meet someone who has done it and get some great advice for free from them? Now, would you like to learn some tips from two people who have walked the walk, and now they are going to talk the talk with us today? Are you ready to learn some secrets to success and to marriage? If you can answer yes or maybe to any of these questions, then you are in the right place. And I would like to welcome you to January Jones Sharing Success Stories. Now sit back, relax, go get some wine, get some cheese and crackers, and we'll let our show begin. Let me tell you a little bit about my guests today. They are marriage relation coaches that have been married for 22 years and counting, with 5 beautiful children and 2 grandchildren. They are the creator and host of The Way That I Love You podcast. That show focuses on love and how to navigate through life's ups and downs with your spouse by using practical methods that can strengthen your marriage and help grow your family unit in a healthy way. This podcast is real-time marriage journey with Christian values that offers humor, drama, truth, and passion, and most of all, love. It was with great pleasure I welcome to the show today Willie and Sherona McFadden. Hi, Willie and Sherona. How are you doing today?
Good.
Hello,
Hi.
good.
Hi.
Thank you for having us, January.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and I'm hoping that someday you'll reciprocate and invite my husband and I on your podcast.
Oh,
Yes,
love to.
most definitely.
Okay, let's start with talking about the pandemic and how it has affected you, your marriage, your family. Any thoughts on this pandemic situation we've all been going through?
Well, I'll start.
Yes.
I'll start by saying the pandemic, like you said, affected each and every last one of us, and especially have been, it could be a strain or it could have been stressful or encouragement to your marriage, because first you either gotten to stay in the house with your spouse And at first it's starting off really like, okay, well, let's get into the mood of things and try to get back to basics. And you're calling yourself falling in love with this person, maybe some of you out there. And then after a while, it's like, when is this person leaving? You know, what do we do next? Because we have devoted our time enough on a regular basis of being around each other. So for Will and I, we have always been around each other constantly, but on the pandemic, we had a house full, right, of individuals. And then we had ourselves as well. And it was like, you know, every waking moment, we had to find something else to do. And believe it or not, that's when we birthed the podcast.
Okay.
Because we were looking for something else to do. And we knew that in a lot of other marriages, they were really looking for something to do with one another to stay busy. So you won't kind of like fall in the trap of that marriage, pandemic marriage. That's what we called it.
Yeah.
Like quarantine love.
And you know, when you live with someone, whether you're married or just in a family, you know, there's times where nerves can get stretched. So
I know.
times,
it's been challenging for so many people, and it's a wonderful time for you to start a podcast with trying to help married people cope with this situation. Willie, tell me, how did the two of you meet? And 22 years ago, how did this all begin for you both?
Well, I'll tell my side of the story, and then she can jump in and fit the pieces in. But we met 22 years ago. It was actually through
24 years ago, 23 years ago. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was actually through her family member, her cousin. I knew her cousin, and I forget how it actually happened, but she just gave me her number to call her. And I think it was like a running game that they would have going on with one another, where they would just give each other number out to random guys to call if like the guy was trying to hit on them. So as a joke, they would give each other his number and had the random guy call. So I was the random guy. And I happened to just call her on her birthday. And yeah, so we talked and chatted. And then after that, it was like the rest was history. We talked for about 2 or 3 months over the phone, not even knowing what each other looked like.
Oh my gosh.
And the conversation just got better and better and better. And I got more and more intrigued until we finally set a date to meet. And once that happened, the rest is history.
Okay. Sharona, how old were the two of you at that time, and where did you decide to meet?
At that time, it was my 21st birthday.
Oh, okay. Important.
So, and our first meetup, we tried to meet up. We talked on the phone, like he said, for a couple of months. And then we tried to meet up, and we're from Philadelphia area. So we tried to meet up at the gallery, at the mall, the gallery, if anyone knows about the gallery. But that was not a success. The day that we tried to meet up, my sister was with me, and she had gotten sick. Like we were meeting side by side, and I was like, I have to get back on the train. It was literally like a movie. We could not meet up properly. And so it took us a while to meet up again until he came to visit me. And you know, we kind of, our eyes met and we're like, okay. But we were already in love with one another over the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was love at first talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you met each other. And that's exciting. And how long after you met each other did it take for you to get married?
1 year.
Yeah, just 1 year of dating, then we got married the very next year.
Yes. So this year will be 23 years of marriage.
Yes, just coming July next month.
Well, I'm sure that your parents were happy that you waited a year to make sure everything was going to work out for you. And I bet your families were thrilled with your marriage, weren't they?
Well, at first, you know, our parents kind of grew together with our relationship as we grew. At first, I think we moved kind of fast because we got married. We moved in first, you know, and then gotten married. And our families, that's not the thing you do. You figure it out, then you kind of wait a while, then get married, then move in. So we kind of did it the opposite way. When some people do the opposite way. So, but after a while, it just kind of flowed together. And you know, we all just became a wonderful, wonderful, happy family.
After they seen the love that we had for one another and the way that we worked together and was raising our family, it was just like, okay, this is real. Because we were so young, you could expect them to be skeptical, saying, "You guys are so young. What are you doing? You still have your life to live."
Well, you know, I think truly that if things flow along quite easily, it's meant to be, and we'll probably be successful. Now, Willie, you talk about a purpose-driven marriage. How do you interpret that for us?
Yes. For us, marriage is not just two people getting married because they love each other. Of course, that happens. That's a part of getting married. But once you're married, after some time, you have to figure out, okay, what is our purpose together? Because we see marriage as it rightly is ordained by God, and we take that commitment and that oath under God and to one another. So it has to be something deeper than just putting us together and being fruitful. What is our purpose together? And that's what we strive to do and have accomplished. And we just want to share that in our message to those marriages.
Wonderful. Right now, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to share with you my book that reached #1 at Amazon. Wow. And we'll be right back with Willie and Sherona McFadden.
Lately, there's a whining epidemic in our world. People are even whining about whining. Are you sick and tired of listening to everyone whining all the time? So was January Jones, the author of Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, that reached #1 at Amazon.com. Ms. Jones based her book on a survey of the top 10 things that people whine about at all ages and all stages of life. January is a success coach that can tell you how to help others. When you buy Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, you'll find out what people whine about and how to stop them from whining. This is the perfect gift book to give or get for any occasion. Thou Shalt Not Whine was voted the best gift to be given anonymously for those special people in your life. Ms. Jones is an internationally known author in the style of Irma Bombeck, specializing in housewife humor, with her book being published in Korea and China. You can find Thou Shalt Not Whine at Amazon.com.
Welcome back with my guest, Willie and Sherona McFadden. They are a power couple that put together original workshops, seminars, and couples retreats for the betterment of all marriages. It does not matter if you've been married for 50 years or for 5 weeks. What an exciting thing to do together. Sharona, tell us a little bit about what is the glue that actually holds your marriage together?
I would say hands down, 100% our faith, January. You know, Will and I have been through so much, and through the things that we've been through, we stood on our principles of our values of our faith, which is the church, right? And so we gathered all our strength from we say the help from the Lord. That's where we kind of gather our strength from. And one of the most trying times that we had to put all of that energy and let God just kind of take over in our marriage was when in 2016, I had a brain aneurysm and a stroke.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And I had to learn to do everything all over again.
Oh my
and
God.
I had to learn to walk. And I was in the ICU for almost 30 days. And my husband nursed me back to health alongside the wonderful doctors that we accumulated over the time frame. And so it really took our faith in God and our trust in our community to kind of build that, to say this is the glue. We know that Christ is the glue in our marriage to push us forth. That's what we can say about us. We don't know what other people have to hold on to, but for us, that's it.
Oh, that's wonderful. What a tragedy, but yet together you were able to overcome it and to go forward with it. Willie, before we go on, would you share with my listeners your contact information and how they can follow your podcast and tell them a little bit about your promotions?
Yes, so they can definitely reach us through our website at thewaythatIloveyou.live. And also, when you go to the website, you'll see all our social media tags. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. So we're out there. And then, far as the podcast goes, you can listen to it through the website, but it's streaming on all major platforms. iHeartRadio is one of them as well that picked it up. And so we're on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you podcast. So it's definitely out there.
Well, I think one of the wonderful things about the pandemic is that it has made this opportunity to do podcasts such a exciting thing for so many people who never thought about this way of communication. I'm just doing this live TV podcast. It's been 2 months now, and I'm really enjoying it. Previously, I had always done just audio. So It's nice to combine the two things. Sharona, Diamonds and Pearls. Now, that was the name of your retreat. Where did that come from?
Oh, wow. We were at a fun Valentine's Day event. Will and I were helping with the hosting there. And we were trying to come up with something fabulous for Valentine's Day. And what's more fabulous than diamonds and pearls, right?
Yeah.
So we were coming up with the thought process, what is a diamond and what is a pearl in your marriage? And we talked about a diamond that not being able to be a diamond can go through some things. They can't be crushed. It kind of refines itself and turns out and as beautiful as it is. And so in your marriage, do you see yourself as individuals that could go through some things and just come out sparkling on the other side? As you're going through, you know how to go through things. And then we have the pearl, which symbolizes for us the moment where you are okay, even if your things are not going well in your marriage, or even if you don't see, you're okay with him. I'm okay with him leaving his underwear on the floor without yelling and screaming about the underwear being on the floor. I'm okay with where we are in the season of our marriage. And that's the pearl season for us. And sometimes you're not always in the diamond season. You're not always in the pearl season, no matter what age you are in your marriage, as far as your years together. You can go back and forth, but recognizing where you are in your marriage together so you can better be effective throughout your marriage.
Yes, that sounds like a very easy plan to follow. And it sounds very meaningful, especially to the two of you. Willie, so tell me now, what is the red pill?
So we did a workshop called the Marital Matrix, and we kind of modeled it off of the concept of the movie because people can grasp that analogy. So the red pill is having a marriage where your marriage is exposed and open to whatever you individually set the rules for your marriage to be. And the blue pill is more or less having a deeper understanding of your marriage. So when things come at you through your marriage, you're able to kind of navigate and remain in unity, rather being on the red pill side where things can come and bring separation between the two and bring grief. You don't want that. So it's just like an analogy of life. You can either leave a good life or a life exposed to things that can do a turn, throw you a curveball.
Well, I have never heard of the red pill, but I have heard of the blue pill, which a lot of older men talk about. And I must say, after 52 years of marriage, I am acquainted with that pill, like most married people who have been married that long. Sharona, just quickly give us your take on how important it is to have a community that supports you and supports your marriage.
Oh, wow. So we really, truly encourage community. We say the same way it takes a village to raise children, it also takes a community to help you through your marriage, because there are going to be ups and downs that you need to go through, and you need sound advice from individuals that are like-minded. And that means not just going to anyone for sound advice, but you have to find it like-minded individuals that's going to give you the right information that you need to help secure your marriage. And then you need to create the community for the glue that you can hang out with individuals, right? We want a community in everything that we do. And community, we want it to edify the body, and the body is the marriage.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can attest to that. After 52 years of marriage, it's so nice to have friendships and relationships with other people who enjoy being married. It's a very positive approach to life and marriage. Right now, we're going to hear about my 2 books about who killed Kennedy.
Let me ask you a question. Are you still wondering who killed Kennedy? Over 50 years later, the assassination is still a mystery. It is unfinished business for our country. Now, get ready for a theory that you've never heard before, but will make more sense than any other conspiracy theory that you've ever heard in the past. January Jones speaks the unspeakable in her book, Jackie, Ari, and Jack, The Tragic Love Triangle, connecting Jackie and Aristotle Onassis romantically prior to JFK's assassination. Did you know that Ari was Jackie's guest in the White House during the JFK funeral? He was the only non-family member who was invited by Jackie to stay there during the funeral. Aristotle Onassis was one of the wealthiest men in the world, with the means, the motive, and the money to order an assassination that was the perfect crime of the last century. Ari needed class, and Jackie needed cash. They were perfect for each other. Now, what is Camelot? It is but another tragic love triangle. Jackie, Ari, and Jack is available at JanuaryJones.com, Amazon.com, and audiobooks.com, read by Ms. Jones.
Welcome back with my delightful guests, Willie and Sherona McFadden. Sharona, let's talk. You start, and then we'll go right to Willie on this one. Let's talk about sex and intimacy. And you had an episode called Down on Your Bended Knee, season 3. How did that go?
Oh, wow. So January, that is one of my favorite episodes in season 3, Down on Bended Knee. Will and I so our marriage is a real-time journey. So we tell you what we're going through in our marriage at that particular time. And we all know that in marriage, you have good seasons. You have seasons when you're really just romantic. And then you have seasons where things are a little bit off, right? Mm-hmm. So Will and I, we were off around this season. We weren't really communicating in the moment. And I had gotten a feeling from awakening from the Lord. He said, go downstairs and put some soft music on. Mm-hmm. So it was about 4:00 in the morning, and I go downstairs to put soft music on. Mm-hmm. And he can hear the music. And I woke him up and I said, hey, did you want to come downstairs with me? And I knew I had to get us back in a romantic situation. Mm-hmm. And he said, sure. And I said, let's go downstairs to pray. And he woke up, he was like, to pray? And I had candles lit, and I had the music going on, but okay. I also had the Bible on the table. So it confused him altogether, because he didn't know we were about to really get into something, or like, what is going on? So we talk about romance being a part of our everyday life, and as a Christian, we know that God is concerned about our love between one another. But are we concerned? Do you understand that God is concerned about our romance and the way we communicate romance and how we can allow him to come in before this destruction? Let's let him into our romantic part of our lives and let him take control over that. So that's what we decided to do on that day. And it was very romantic, but it was prayer, but it was romantic prayer. It was different. So.
Okay, well, now we only had 4 children, and Willie, you 2 have 5 children. Yes. So how do you make the time for romance? I know that's a big problem for a lot of people, finding me and you time when you've got 5 little people running around you.
Well, you definitely have to be intentional about the time and making sure things are organized, where you can actually make that time to have romance and intimacy. With 5 children, we have a great family system. So we were able to ask my mom or my mother-in-law or my sister-in-law or my sister to kind of take the children for a couple hours so we can have our time. And then there was times that we did stuff together. And that way we were able to actually include the children, because you have to be an example for your family as well to see how it is when a healthy marriage is in front of you and how a man is supposed to love a woman and vice versa.
But our children now, January, we have adult children.
Yeah.
So we're in that a different stage of our life that we're going through that as well. So there are different components as we grew in our marriage. We kind of grew with the stages with our children as well. And that's important.
And so now we just do it. We'll hug, we'll kiss in front of them. We'll even embarrass them out in public.
Well, we've been known to do that too. And now we're embarrassing our grandchildren. So we're still at it. But, I think it's great for the kids and grandkids to see that there still can be romance after quite a few years of marriage. I'm a believer, and I know both of you are, but how do you get your message across to someone or people who are unbelievers, who don't buy the Christian route of life? How do you reach them?
Well, we say to any individual, our podcast is not just for believers. Our podcast is for everyone. Actually, we're global, so we know that we're global on our audio side. Yeah. So we know that everyone are not believers, and we understand that. Our message is to show the strength in marriage, and we tell individuals this is what we do. This is our life's journey. So you can take what applies to you in your marriage, what can help you, and you can apply it to your marriage in your own way, because everyone's marriage is different. Marriage looks different for everyone across the world, right? So, but this is what we do. We ask that you take what you can, apply it to your marriage, and what you can't, give out to others. We're not here for just believers on what we do. We're here to help encourage individuals to love on whom you love and the way that you do it.
And we talk about things that every couple can relate to. Every season it's up and down, like it's in the title. We talk about life's ups and downs. So every couple can relate to that. Any type of relationship can relate to that. So we just give sound advice. We just say how we navigate through it. And if it can help, like Sharona said, if it can help, use it. If not, stick it in your back pocket and give it to somebody else.
Now, Sharona, I would imagine that counseling and mentoring has been pretty important in your life. How has it affected your own personal marriage, your own relationship? Has it helped? I'm sure it must help a lot, or it might be depressing sometimes.
Well, it has helped us a lot. It has helped me a lot. I know along the time, I've always feel like we have to listen to when someone else is giving us information. No matter if it's your grandmother, your aunt, your whoever it is, if they're giving you sound information, find a way to tweak it and kind of bring it in so it can make sense to you, because everyone's a counselor. I believe.
Yeah.
Everyone's a mentor. So take that information. And as I gotten older into our marriage, I realized I can't say certain things. There are certain ways I have to fluctuate my voice because Will's his own individual person. So what sounds good to me coming out may not sound good to him going in. So we have to be very mindful. And I've learned that along the way, listening to other individuals giving me that good information and the counseling that I've received. That's good counseling.
Sometimes, though, it's very hard for people to listen if they're not particularly thrilled with your message. And there's an art to listening, and I think it's something that most people could work on every day. It's truly a key to our successful marriage. How about you?
Yes, I would agree. Listening and communicating and understanding what each other is saying. Like we're getting ready to teach a course called the Alpha Marriage Course. And one of the topics in that is communicating and listening. So that to us is very important because sometimes you have to just make time, and it's always intentional time to just give each other your undivided attention. So you'll be able to receive what's being said, process it, and act on it with practical application. So.
And the retreats that you do, I know they're not just for people who are having a troubled marriage or having problems, but they're also for people who are in marriages who are probably just stagnant, and a marriage can get in a rut, don't you think, Sharona?
Yes. So just like the retreat we had the Diamonds and Pearls retreat, and it was spectacular. The individuals that came out to the retreat, the number one thing they said was, we needed this. We needed this. And they needed somewhere to go to lay down their hair, to kind of rekindle some of the things that they felt, because we go through life and every day gets busy, January. So we're doing this, we're doing that. And even though you're in the home with someone, you're not sometimes communicating in a romantic way. Or taking that moment to step back and say, we're in union with one another. So it gave them a chance, no matter if they were in, like you said, in a rough spot, or in a just in a spot that they just needed to let down their hair. It gave them that. And we heard that from individuals, that this is what they needed. They needed a spot to say, we're going to get some sound information. And Will and I were very intent on giving a lot of downtime.
Yes.
It wasn't just workshop after workshop. We believe that when you go into a couples retreat, the purpose of the retreat is for your downtime. The purpose of the retreat is so you as a couple can rekindle some things and take the tools that you're learning through the workshop and take it back to your hotel room.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hotel room. Tell me about the logistics of a retreat. First of all, how do you recruit people that want to attend? And where do you have it? How long does it take? What's the schedule like? How does it work for someone who's never been on a retreat?
So for the logistics wise, how we've come about doing it and putting it out there is a lot of promoting on social media, a lot of promotion within our networks, whether it's via phone, the internet, and putting the word out there. And it's really for those who we have a relationship with, to kind of like spread the word as well. The retreat that we did for Diamonds and Pearls retreat was held at a household name hotel. And we had it there for the weekend, and the facility was beautiful. And my wife, she's just a tremendous visionary and talented with decor, and really put some things together that personalized the retreat for the couples from the day that they checked in to it was time to check out. And that makes the experience very personable. And we were very personable with folks as well. Even though we conducted some of the workshops and ran the retreat, we also got in the mingling aspect and meeting the actual couples and talking with them and just, checking the temperature of the room. So we make it very accessible. Everything They go straight to the website and take care of everything financial wise through the website, and then we handle the rest.
Okay. And what hotel, where do you hold the retreat?
Well, we had the Diamonds and Pearls at the Marriott in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Will and I, we often go away on these rendezvous in our neighborhood. We say you don't have to go away to be away. So if you need time alone, we have hotels in our own area, right? So you can go down the street if you needed time alone. If you're in the hotel room, you're in paradise. You're with the individuals that you love to be with. You create your own season and your own environment. So we wanted to encourage individuals to go into your neighborhood and use the hotel chains in your neighborhood and the restaurants in your neighborhood to create paradise. So we use our local Marriott Hotel in Lansdale, Pennsylvania.
And it's a great relationship and rapport to build with the local vendors in your neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, I've written several books, and the key to success, I think, with most books is having a terrific title. And I think you found it with Diamond and Pearls.
Thank you.
I mean, I just hear the title and I want to do it. Now, looking back, you spoke about having had that serious stroke. Was that the most challenging time in your marriage for the two of you, or did you have other challenges along the way?
I thought we had other challenges along the way, but I felt like that was, that
was huge because it was a lot of uncertainty whether she was going to make it out of that. Yes. And when it took place, we were actually in another state. So we were out of state in the ICU for almost 30 days before she was released to even come home. And then that took another year or so to get built up to walk and have the home nurse and therapist come through. So there were other challenges, but this one was a test. It was a lot of uncertainties, and I really just didn't allow myself to get overwhelmed because of our faith. I really had to exercise it.
But you know what, January, I say for individuals, you don't know that you don't know what those vows mean sometimes until you're faced with richer or poor, sickness and in health. And so to have him have to nurse his wife back to health, and we didn't sign up for that. That's not when you get married. You don't sign up for, sickness. And, we're such very young. We're still in young age.
We
so
were in bliss.
So, how do you handle that? I can only imagine what was going through his mind and what he had to deal with as a young man to try to say, I'm sticking with my wife, and no matter what the outcome is, I'm going to be there.
Tell me, Will, did you have children at that time?
Yes, we did. We had all our children.
And we were working. We
had all our children. We both were working. And like I said, the community, that's why we talk so much about having a community, our regular community, our church community, our family. Everybody showed up and really was great and supportive during that time.
Right.
My employer at the time allowed me to work remote before remote was even a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just awesome because, like I said, it happened in another state. So it's a 2.5 hour commute if I were to drive into the office, and to do that every day wasn't feasible at the time.
Yes.
I needed to be alongside of my wife.
Well, to get through something like that, you really and truly need a strong support team or system behind you. And, it gets back to, I remember Hillary Clinton, she talked about the village, and Michelle Obama talked about the village. And it's the village in your life that's there when you need them. I know even now, as we get older, we run into so many people who cherish their support teams because they're there when no one else is, and they're there to help you get through it all. Right now, we're going to talk about some priceless people who have been on my show, and I've featured all of them in 2 of my books, and I'd like you to consider them. Have you ever met someone who was unforgettable? Someone who has touched your heart and soul? People who have faced difficult problems? People who have struggled to find solutions? People who fearlessly shared their stories? People who have not only informed you, but inspired you? People who have priceless personalities? I have been fortunate to host an internet radio talk show called January Jones Sharing Success Stories, and it has been my privilege to interview hundreds of guests. My guests have shared their stories, their struggles, their secrets, and their successes in their own words. In this book, we're talking about people dealing with problems such as incest, molestation, runaway kids, child abuse, drug abuse, polygamy, unemployment, scandal, and starting over. Then there are my guests dealing with difficult physical struggles such as blindness, cancer, and birth defects that are beyond traumatic. My guests have all been exciting, eclectic, and energizing. They have amazed, amused, and even astonished me. I have adored getting to meet them, and I adore sharing them with you.
Attention all listeners. Priceless Personalities, Success Stories Shared by January Jones, Volume 2 is now available at Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle editions. You'll be able to meet 10 amazing people who will be sharing their own personal stories with all their struggles, successes, and solutions, sprinkled with lots of humor and hope. Priceless Personalities features a teenager who becomes one of the famous Supremes from Motown, a nurse who as a humorist helps people to heal, an inspiring laughter yoga instructor, a mother dealing with the loss of a child, an incredible motivational speaker, a woman who married 5 times, a gifted paranormal nurse, a wise economist, a funny female humorist, along with an older man sharing his sweet childhood in the Deep South. January's guests are all amazing and amusing. You will never forget meeting them. Go to Amazon.com for your own priceless experience.
Welcome back with 2 priceless personalities that we are meeting today for the first time, Willie and Sherona McFadden. Now, I always ask all my guests this question, so I'll ask Sharona first. And Willie, you can think about it. If you could have dinner alone with someone either dead or alive, who would you choose to dine with?
Oh, wow.
Besides me.
I would love to dine with Michelle Obama.
Oh,
I would love. I think her presence just oozes greatness. I think she has so much to give. Her mind is just mind blowing.
mm-hmm.
Her wisdom is captivating. She moves me.
Yeah. It's surprising how many people choose her as their dinner guest. How about you, Willie? Who would you like to have dinner with? Maybe Obama.
Right off the bat, I would say James Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
He's my guy. I would love to have dinner with James Baldwin and just navigate through his mind of creativity and his life's journey. He had so much richness in his literature, in his personality, and his presentations when he did interviews, and he was so free. He was a person who was unapologetic, and I would love to have sit and dine with James Baldwin.
Yeah. Well, such a brilliant man, brilliant writer, brilliant communicator. I really feel he was ahead of his time.
Yes.
And I think that when we look back on history, he holds a inspiring role for not only Black people, but for all people all over. He's an amazing man, as is Michelle Obama. I adore. I read her book. I loved it. I couldn't put it down. I must think her mother must be so proud of her. Now, one of my daughters is a family counselor, And sometimes there's bad news in a marriage. It's broken, it's painful. Sometimes you have to face the reality that it may be not the answer to happiness. How do you two deal with that when you're counseling people, Sharona?
Well, the first thing I like to tell an individual is, what do you want in your marriage and alongside of for yourself? And sometimes we have to understand that even if you're not with the person that you thought you would be with, you still will have a connection, and you've taken something from that person to help build you in life. And so for those life things that you kind of try to create something to stand on outside of the marriage, we want to help people to say, this is not the end of your story together, right? You still have something that you offered each other. So focus on the good things. And then you want to get good counsel as you do it. You want to know how to do it that is good for the both of you, that it can enrich your life going forth. You don't want to be angry and, upset about moving on. But that's transition. And anything we do, we got to learn to transition well. So we want to help people transition into a state of, when something's not good for you, doesn't mean it wasn't great for you.
What are your thoughts on that, Willie?
Yeah, for like happiness, especially from a faith standpoint, we read to give our burdens unto the Lord, and so He can make them light, and He'll give us rest for our souls, and He'll give us peace. So once you give that off until Him and able to lift that burden, He will give you peace, which then create a byproduct of happiness. So if you're in a situation where you're not happy and you don't know how to figure this out, you don't know how to repair it, it may be beyond repair. But if you know how to get that resentment or get that feeling off of you in a healthy manner, whether it's through counsel or whether it's through faith, the peace that comes from that will satisfy you personally to make you happy at the situation, whether it goes on or not.
I've noticed a trend that I'm very happy about, and it seems that nowadays when people are getting a divorce, they seem to have a bigger effort on doing the co-parenting successful. I mean, the marriage may not have worked, but there's no reason for the parenting. And I think it's wonderful that a lot of people are choosing to be adults about the whole thing and co-parenting their kids. Do you see that in your work?
I find that to be like a number one thing that I'm seeing as well. I see a lot of individuals putting their children first. The love that they have for their children should absorb like all of the pain, and kind of putting that into leadership and teamwork, right? Yes. So they're really doing that in a way that it is beneficial to not just for the children, but it's beneficial for them, because you can say, even though we didn't operate in this particular part of our marriage, we are great parents together. And that draws you to a bond that, that is unbreakable.
Yes. I see now that we're running out of time. This podcast has gone so fast, and I've so enjoyed meeting both of you and sharing you with my fans. I want my listeners to remember that we hope you've enjoyed your time, and we'll be back on the air again next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. My 78-year-old thought for the day is that as I've gotten older, people think I'm becoming lazy. The truth is, I'm just being more energy efficient. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So for now, thank you for entering the No Whine Zone, and please share our stories with everyone you know. And remember, stop whining and start smiling. And if that doesn't work, then you can just start eating chocolate. Lots and lots of chocolate. Take care and stay safe until we meet again.
We want to thank you for listening to January Jones Sharing Success Stories. Always remember Ms. Jones' personal mantra, if you can think it, you can do it. That's what all of our guests have done with their lives, and so can you. You are the ultimate success coach in your own life. All you need to do will be to start sharing your own story with your family and friends. We hope that our guest stories will encourage you to explore an equation in your future that will combine your creativity plus connecting with others will enable you to be successful too. Always remember, your passion plus your purpose will equal prosperity as you explore the wonderful world of January Jones.